Welcome back to Chronic Health Solutions. Have you ever had one of those days where you're feeling off and you can't really explain what's going on? You just know something doesn't feel right. Maybe you're not feeling as patient. Maybe your brain just feels like it's 2 steps behind. Your body might feel heavy, like you're walking through mud, and you're just thinking, okay, is this stress or am I heading for another flare? Today, we're going to talk about 3 early signs that your body is entering a flare, and then also 3 ways that we can get out of it without losing an entire week to feeling bad. So let's get started. Welcome to Chronic Health Solutions. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have been where you are, battling chronic health symptoms and chronic illness, things like brain fog, joint pain, and fatigue that made me wonder if I'd ever feel like myself again. After uncovering root causes like stress, poor sleep, and hormone imbalance, I found simple health routines to begin to feel better, one simple habit at a time. Keeping up with your kids is not impossible. Pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time. All right, so we have talked about how it can be very common to have a flare in December or into early January as you're just dealing with all the craziness of the holidays. So tell me if this sounds familiar. You might wake up one morning feeling irritable. Everything feels too loud. Your mind feels slow. You're just groggy and foggy. Your body feels heavy. And you're thinking, okay, well, it's December. I know how this goes. I have tons of school events, or I'm doing homeschool activities. I have kids who are overwhelmed and overloaded, tons of errands, holiday pressure, and just the emotional load of carrying everything, all the special events that you have to do. So what do? You push through. And then you tell yourself, okay, after today, I will rest, or this weekend, I will rest. I'm fine. But you're really not fine. By the end of the week, you're completely down. You have pain, joint pain, can't get up out of bed, brain fog, exhaustion to the point where, goodness, it's like, how do I even get up and do the stuff that I need to do? It just feels like your whole body has quit on you. And then later, what you realize is, and what I have come to realize as I've begun to have more compassion for myself and also more education on how my nervous system works, I have realized that whenever I get in this situation, and I bet it's the same for you, my flare didn't happen or start whenever that exhaustion and the joint pain and the fatigue hit. It was actually whenever I was starting to feel those little hints of things way back, a week before or a day before, when my nervous system was feeling overwhelmed. And the signs were there. I just didn't know what to look for, and I didn't know how to read them yet. And that's what I want to help you to recognize today as well. So let's talk about 3 early signs that you could be entering a flare. The first one is that your brain fog is hitting harder and faster. And of course, we're not talking about just normal, busy mom forgetfulness. This is that really heavy brain fog that feels like it comes out of nowhere. It's like someone has dimmed the lights on your brain. You cannot think clearly. You cannot think straight. You can't get thoughts together. You walk into a room to do something, totally forgot why you were there, can't get that train of thought back, all of that. And the thing that we've learned with neuroscience is that whenever stress rises, the brain is going to shift out of prefrontal cortex mode, which is that planning, decision-making, logic mode, and it's going to shift into survival mode, where we are going to be more reactive, we're going to be protective, and we're going to do whatever comes automatically or more automatic to us. This is going to happen before those physical symptoms begin to show up. So when that mental switch is flipping, you might notice things like your words are not coming out right. You forget what you're doing mid-task, like I mentioned a second ago. You have a very slow reaction time. And this could be like a reaction time, to processing information, or if someone asks you a question, it's taking you a second to even formulate a response because your brain is just in that shutdown mode. It could also be that maybe you're reading something and you need to reread it multiple times in order to comprehend what it is saying. This could look like just a basic, simple decision that you need to make. Like, what are we having for dinner tonight? Or do I want to leave for work at 7:45 this morning or 7:30. These just simple basic decisions, they can feel complicated or very difficult to make. It can also be that you begin to feel overwhelmed by choices or decisions as well. These are all signs that your nervous system is saying, hey, I don't have the capacity right now to handle all of this, and I need you to slow down. This is not because you are a failure. It is because your brain has shifted and is saying, we need to move all of our energy to protect you from this overload that you are experiencing. And this can be a really early sign that your body needs some additional support. And if you don't stop from the current path that you are on, you are likely to end up in a flare. Okay, let's talk about the second one. This could be that your emotional sensitivity spikes. This sign is one that I think a lot of moms can misunderstand because it is just an emotional thing. It's not a physical symptom. And this we can often dismiss as, that we're just having a hard time, or we are struggling, or we're feeling overwhelmed or something like that. But what you might notice is that you are feeling snappier in your reactions. So something that normally wouldn't cause you to react in a harsh manner does. It could be that sounds, just normal noises like your kids talking or a background noise or a fan or music, cause you to be very overwhelmed, overstimulated, or irritated. It can also be that when maybe you have a child who moves a lot, especially when we are talking about children who are neurodivergent. They often do have a lot of various movements. So it could be that you begin to feel overstimulated by the movements that you are noticing around you, or that you notice clutter around you, and that makes you feel very easily overstimulated and overwhelmed. It could also be that you are crying more easily than normally. You're feeling touched out, like you just want people to give you space and leave you alone. You have a lower tolerance for the sibling arguments that we know so often happen whenever we have multiple children, and you're just feeling on edge and irritable for really no reason at all. This is not you being difficult or being dramatic. This is physiology. When your stress hormones are on the rise, especially cortisol, then your dopamine is going to drop, and your emotional regulation system is just having a hard time keeping up. Your brain is going to, of course, become more reactive and less resilient. And like we've talked about, this is survival mode. This is what it looks like. Your body, again, is just trying to protect you by heightening your sensitivity so that you are picking up on what's going around you. It's that protection, like what is going on, what we need to see the danger so that we can make sure that we're safe. And what a lot of moms with chronic symptoms or chronic illness don't realize is that emotional sensitivity is actually a flare symptom. It can be the beginning of a flare. This is your nervous system saying, hey, this is too much. We have too much going on. We have to cut something out. I am overwhelmed. I am overstimulated, and I need a break. All right, let's talk about the third one. This is whenever your fatigue or your tiredness goes from just like, oh, I'm generally tired or I feel a little sleepy, to I am absolutely drained. I have nothing left to give. And I think that this is often the one that stands out to us the most. This is the one that might kind of begin to alert us that something is going on, because it impacts our life so much in such a real way. And I do want to say, there's a difference between being tired and being just completely drained. When you're tired, you might think, hey, I need a break. I am a little sleepy, but if something came up, you could push through and you would be okay. You also can still function with willpower. So again, you can push yourself through. But whenever you are feeling drained, it begins to feel impossible. The willpower and the pushing through just doesn't work. Your legs might feel like cement. Your body feels heavy, slow, unresponsive. Sitting up can even feel hard. You feel like you could cry from how exhausted you are. You might be having a hard time just staying awake during basic activities. You have zero motivation, and it's not because you don't care. It's because your body does not have the energy to do these tasks. Okay, so this is going to happen, like we talked about, when your body is in that survival mode. It's going to reroute your energy away from thinking, from digestion, from healing, from emotional regulation, and from motivation. And it's going to focus on, what do we need to do? What are the functions that we need in order to survive? This is going to be a sign that your internal battery is just like at critical state. It is low. Your body is sending out all the warning signs and saying, hey, alert, something is going on. Often what I find and what I have experienced for myself in the past that I've really had to work on is that we see all of this stuff and we are so busy that we still push through. And that is what really causes that flare to accelerate, which ends up, like we've talked about, that crash or the push and then the crash cycle. And this is what I find is if we can't recognize it and do the little things that we need to do in order to support our body in the early stage, we do end up in that crash cycle where we might be down for days or a week or whatever it is that it looks like for your specific situation. Okay, so let's talk about 3 different ways that you can recover from this without losing a week of your life to a flare. The first one would be to decrease the pace that you're going throughout life by just a fraction. So we know that running from thing to thing with really no break and just kind of without even thinking about it is a really easy way to spike your cortisol levels. So even just intentionally slowing yourself down, slowing your movements down can interrupt this survival mode that your body has been shifted into. So it could be that you just start to move slower. You start to talk slower. You take your time as you're doing things. You're showing your body, you're telling your body instead of like this rush, we have to hurry, do this, without even really thinking about it. When you are forcing your body to slow down, you're sending it the signal that this is not an emergency. We are not in a rush. Everything is okay. Your nervous system will then follow that pace and realize, okay, we actually do have the capacity to slow down. We don't have to rush. This is not an emergency. Nothing is on fire. And this small difference can really give your body some capacity to start to recover. Okay, another one that you can do is a 5-minute reset. I do have an episode about this that I will try to remember to link in the show notes below. But this is one that's so powerful because it's simple and it's fast. So I'm going to give you a couple of short ideas. But again, I will try to remember to share that episode where I talk about this more in depth in the show notes too. But this could be where you're just going to take 5 minutes and you're going to potentially sit outside. To me, sit outside in nature, in the sun, and then you take some deep breaths and you just focus on that. No screens, no earbuds, no kind of stimulus or input coming in at all. We are just taking time. You can put your hand on your chest or on your stomach. You're taking deep breaths. You're dropping your shoulders away from your ears down, relaxing your body, and then just, again, taking this 5 minutes to reset your body, reset your nervous system, and that is sending that safety signal back to your body, saying, we are okay. This is not an emergency. Everything is okay. This can really interrupt that stress pattern that you have going on, which is like stress and then inflammation and then a flare. So even taking 5 minutes, once a day, a couple times a day, that can be a great way to do that. Okay. Then the third thing is that we want to put extra focus on nourishing your body. So when you are in the middle or in the beginnings of a flare-up, oftentimes you are feeling very overwhelmed. So when you're in that state, your body actually needs even more support. And if you're like me, you're more likely to forget to drink your water, forget to eat consistently. And so you're just adding to the potential for a flare-up. So if we can focus on things like having protein every few hours in order to stabilize your blood sugar, making sure you're having a healthy fat with that as well, having warm foods, which can help to support digestion, making sure you are getting plenty of water in order to get that lymph flowing throughout your body. Also movement like walking, 10 minutes of walking can be great. Getting on a vibration plate can be great as well. Setting aside 10 minutes of doing absolutely nothing. Again, no input, no scrolling your phone, no listening to stuff, just sitting quietly in like a dim light. If you do want some kind of like a relaxing music, I think that would be okay. But we're not trying to stimulate our brain is what I'm getting at. So sitting somewhere where it's quiet, maybe there's dim lights, maybe you have like a candle lit or a simmer pot on, maybe you have relaxing music, but just taking 10 minutes and blocking out that time to give your body a second to rest and to reset. The thing that we need to keep in mind is that your body cannot heal in chaos. So if you feel these early symptoms coming on of a flare and you just continue to push yourself, your body will very likely end up in a flare because it cannot heal like that. So we need to be intentional. And again, I understand we all have life. We all have stuff we have to take care of. So it's not about saying, okay, I have to push everything aside on my schedule and do nothing. We have to be realistic about what we actually can do while also still managing life. And that's why I love these 3 different suggestions, because they are things that you can fit into short little blocks of your day. All right, friends, that is all for this episode. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you back next time. Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins. Even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.